Hi guys, how are you doing? I'm going to talk about blackouts on the internet and on Google servers. But first, quick information. Since yesterday, Facebook, Twitter and Snapchat blocked President Donald Trump until 20th of January. Just quick information, you will probably hear it everywhere. I assume President Donald Trump has expected it and it is part of their deep state's plan, and he also has a plan. So the game is now starting. This is the beginning of a huge game in the United States and across the world. Okay, so now coming to the subject of my video. I wanted to mention some things that were happening recently with the blackout of different platforms. So on the 14th of December, as you all probably know, there was the massive outage that hit Google services worldwide. And I am transmitting from Europe, so we felt it on the 14th of December, like between 12 and 1 o'clock, noon and afternoon. And this was a big shock for everyone, for schools, for businesses, for individuals. A huge blackout hit strongly Google servers and its services, we read on Yahoo News, including Gmail, YouTube, Google Drive, Google Maps, etc., across the entire globe. The internet giant Google said the problem was resolved in 45 minutes. Hashtags including hashtag Google down and hashtag YouTube down were trending as hundreds of millions of internet users tried desperately to connect to the US search engine. And this was in the US, but also in Europe and probably other continents. People noticed it. I've heard news from India. It was a big shock for everyone. So when the Google's blackout happened on the 14th of December, the Google's breakdown impacted many schools in Europe where the application that kids use, Google Meet, for video meetings and lessons to follow their lessons. The lessons were partially cancelled because of this blackout. And it was actually in Italy, in Europe, but perhaps across other continents too. Also, many businesses suffered. YouTube channels creators got really scared because all their assets, all the content they are creating and uploading on YouTube, they were afraid to lose it all. As well as many individuals were affected too. All YouTube videos, Google Gmail, Google Pics, Google Drive, etc., archives, all the inventory on Google suddenly disappeared from the internet. And many people thought they lost a few years of their life, of their work, of the documents, materials, presentations, pictures, videos, etc., that they've been building and storing for many years on Google with full trust in Google platforms. Because I can say from myself that really I got used to Google, even if many years ago, Google was just one of many search engines. Google wasn't so popular. Yahoo was more famous, let's say, well-known, much more than Google. And there were many other search engines that we had a choice, and there wasn't something like just Google, But with time, I have to say, I also got used to it. I like their layout. I like their being like user-friendly. The platforms really no barriers of entry. Everything is free, and really, they really got us used to them. So this is a big challenge right now. What to do? We should really think about it, because it's a warning that if this platform, if their servers shut down, what do we do? I will want to talk about it later, about the coming next probable blackouts, because I am listening to different sources in different languages. I know 8 languages, but let's say, I speak 3 languages, let's say pretty well, that I can communicate and understand the news in different languages. So I'm listening mostly live speeches or live transmissions, not manipulated news. And there are certain kind of signs and warnings and alerts preparing us that there may be a major blackout shutdown for, let's say, political, economical reasons, mostly political probably. Okay, coming back to the Google's blackout on the 14th of December, many of the people immediately alarmed and lamented about it on Twitter and across all other non-Google platforms. We still have no idea if and how this blackout could affect the other Google's parent companies, such as, for example, Alphabet or DeepMind, etc. Just for those who don't know, Alphabet, we read on the internet here, Google abruptly renamed itself Alphabet in 2015, making Google a subsidiary. As a parent company, Alphabet allowed Google to expand into domains outside of internet search and advertising to become a technology conglomerate. So this is important actually to know. And then regarding DeepMind also is part of Google. They are working on AI, artificial intelligence, and we don't know whether this blackout could affect the AI too in some ways or not. Could it, for example, it's just my supposition, could it reset the manipulated algorithms that the AI was continuously being fed with on Google platforms? Or perhaps otherwise it could help actually in the opposite way. Who knows? Depending, could hurt or could help. We don't know. Maybe didn't do anything, but there is also a risk that it could somehow impact the AI. If you are interested in the subject of AI, I have a video on my Comodeo channel titled Godfathers of AI, so you can find it on Rumble or on YouTube. Depending what was really the reason of this blackout and who in reality caused it, because I don't believe in this Russian hack attack fairy tale. The elites, the invisibles, always blame their sins on planned manipulations on either Russians or on Trump. It's cliché. Okay. Pandemic apparently didn't work well enough as they planned. So we may hear about some solar flare excuse or problem with digital economy, hacker who hacked the US Treasury, zombie virus, HIV cocktail virus, aliens from space, UFO, whatever else, I don't know. Anything they can come up with. And the more unbelievable it is, the better. Then they can call people who talk about it, they can call conspiracy theories because it all sounds like sci-fi. Even the whole year 2020 sounded like sci-fi movie. Of course, anyone that can see the truth will be called conspiracy theorists because the things are unbelievable. But actually, part of them make part of the big world financial plan that is actually a very cruel plan, using people's trust, using our pure, let's say, feelings and our trust to manipulate our minds. They need to create a crisis to push their narrative of the Great Reset that leads to the New World Order, as Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum is always preaching about. If you listen on the internet, his speeches, you will know what I'm talking about. So the World Central Bank, with all its affiliates around the globe, and the richest one is actually the Federal Bank in USA. So the World Central Bank wants to destroy, to crash the economy, world economy. They need a crisis because pandemic, as I said, did not work. Now they are building a digital hacking terrorism around the world, another excuse, as they need a crisis to turn down the economy, to have the excuse for the need of reset, that the system was damaged somehow, some way, via solar flare, via hacking or another story, and building the narratives that will create this crisis. I believe Trump and the patriots know it. And they have the countermeasures to trap them, the bankers and the evil elites. Trump wants to expose them to the world, to the people. Trump is watching them and lets them to fall into this economic and legal trap. Look how the British Empire tried to control everything centuries ago, simply by seeding the ideology through their propaganda. It really worked well around their colonies across the globe. These were their mechanisms of control, more or less. And now we are being controlled too by the lockdowns, virus idea put in our heads through the internet platforms censoring us, and perhaps through the vaccines too, who knows. And now I would like to tell you what happened actually during this blackout. I can quote here, if I can, enlarge for myself, just to read it to you. On the 14th of December, massive outage disrupts majority of Google services across US and Europe and perhaps other continents. I know that in India happened too. This is by Tyler Durden on Twitter. The update. Okay, Google says problems with its servers for the vast majority of users should now be resolved. Meanwhile, a lot of Google Home early adopters are probably doing a big rethink right now about it. And then I can quote to you Joe Brown, who tweeted this. I'm sitting here in the dark in my toddler's room because the light is controlled by Google Home. Rethinking a lot right now. Because apparently many people, they have the electricity and light controlled by Google Home, by smart home. So once there is the power cut, the servers blackout of Google, not only that we lose our data, we don't have access anymore to our data on Google platforms, but people also don't have light at home, those who use Google Home, smart home service. Because the electrical power is controlled by Google there. Which is a disaster actually. And we have to now consider all this. And this is a lesson to learn actually for us, for every one of us, to prepare in some ways. Because I mentioned at the beginning that there may be next blackouts. I've heard from Patriot channels that they support Donald Trump and they support the freedom of speech and they are against lockdowns and they support human normal life. They are warning that there may be more complications regarding the network, the digital networks, platforms, I don't know, Google, Twitter, Facebook, I don't know, YouTube, maybe all internet, maybe just some platforms. There can be some blackouts. We don't know exactly why and who would or will do it, but one of the scenarios is that perhaps it will be done because too many people are talking about election fraud in the United States. They are against this what is happening with pandemics. And as you probably know, people are being censored on the internet, on YouTube, on Twitter. Even the president of the United States is being censored and his tweets fact-checked. So because more and more people are being censored or deleted from the internet and they escape, they go to the other open source platforms. Therefore, the information always leaks and people always share the information anyway. So the only way maybe to stop all this, as Google wants to stop, because if they are censoring YouTube belongs to Google. The only way to stop all the voices of people is to do a blackout, outage of the network. This way the people cannot communicate with each other. And to cut the people off from the sources of the real true information, so people would not have access to it. Google also is manipulating keywords on their first Google pages, because I will tell you another time maybe, or maybe I can tell you actually now my experience. One day creating a video for YouTube, one of my videos, I wanted to quote words of Donald Trump. I used other quotations of other famous leaders from the past, and I also wanted to add some quotes of Donald Trump. And I inserted on the Google search, Donald Trump quote, something like that. I tried different ways, quotes of Donald Trump, or I also put unity through success, Donald Trump, because these are his words. And you know what was appearing on this first page of Google? It was like in November anyways, like end of November. It was appearing Joe Biden and his something what he was saying. All first page was Joe Biden. There was no one, according to my keywords, nothing with Donald Trump. I was in shock. I think I even did some screenshots, but I would have to search for it. I was in shock. And the next day I checked it again. The next day it was already resetted. So the next day I actually could see Donald Trump and some things about Donald Trump. But this one day I remember there was just Joe Biden. I mean, you could see it is manipulated. It is impossible if you put keywords and I put quotes, words, exactly words that, because I'm listening, I was listening all year round the rallies of Donald Trump live. So I remember many things he said. I remember by heart his words. So when I put his words in the Google search and I put his name and surname, it is impossible that I see another person in this case Joe Biden, and his quotes and other words of another person. So this proves me I don't need anyone to tell me is it true, is not true. I don't need no one. I know it is manipulation because I experience it. Then also another thing I experienced, there were 2 days I was working on my channel. By the way, I have warning from YouTube on my channel too. So, I can understand and I believe many people are being censored and cancelled because I am being also censored. You can see what I have on my channel. I have normal videos and all I say is my opinion, my point of view and truth. That is in my opinion. If we really would have freedom of speech, I wouldn't receive any warning. This warning is on my dashboard on my YouTube channel. It's hanging there right now. So we are being censored. In general, it's not only about Google. If you think about other search engines that we know, like Yahoo or Bing, let's say the example of Bing. Bing belongs to Microsoft, which is of Bill Gates, of course. Microsoft Bing is a web search engine owned and operated by Microsoft. You can even read about it on the internet. And if you want to know more which platforms and systems and softwares Microsoft acquired, I have one video, actually one of my oldest videos, story about operating system, about Gary Kildall. I strongly recommend that you watch this video. And in the second part of this video, there is a list of different softwares, platforms, whatsoever, that Microsoft bought out. Microsoft acquired even the open source Linux partially, and even GitHub. I mean, they are really almost everywhere. They cover, in operating systems, they cover over 80% of the global market across entire world, let's say. And then the whole number of platforms and softwares that we cannot even imagine. So we should be aware of it. And if we can find alternatives, we should actually sign up and use the alternatives. Transfer on new platforms as soon as possible and start using them. Decentralized, other than Google and globalist platforms. Right now, as soon as we can. Because we don't know tomorrow. We don't know what will be happening next days, next months. This is my recommendation. At least I do that. It's the only way we can have freedom on the internet and more competitive market on the internet to get away from the globalists. This is the only way. I wanted also to mention another outage of Telegram on the Italian channel TG24. Let me just check. I will look at it on my phone right now because I saved it somewhere. So Telegram was down on the 16th of December. Telegram, if you know, it's an encrypted messaging platform, similar, let's say, to WhatsApp. But supposedly there should be freedom of speech. There was till now. At least it seemed to be that we could freely speak and listen to many channels, giving us many information that normally you don't find on Google, nor on YouTube, nor anywhere else, nor on Facebook, nor other places. And Telegram down, wrong functioning of the messaging service. The company of Telegram excuses themselves. They explain that some of their users, principally from Europe and Middle East, were having problems with connection with Telegram. Maybe it wasn't really blackout, but there were some problems with connections. Whether it is connected with this would happen to Google or not, I don't know. I have no idea. We will perhaps actually we will find out further, in the near future. I hope we will know a bit more about it. But what I wanted to suggest that, at least for myself, I already search for new solutions because I don't want to find myself in one moment that the platforms of Google and YouTube are not working anymore. And then what do I do? So there are many other alternatives. I still can't tell you whether really you can 100% trust them or not, or rely on them, but at least they are alternatives. In one of my previous videos, I mentioned a platform called Spreely that is competitor to Facebook because, as we all know, Facebook is also censoring, so there is no real freedom of speech. There were few hearings in Senate people are accusing Facebook that they are censoring people and influencing people's opinions. Let's say psychologically, from the psychological marketing point of view, they are influencing and manipulating people's minds. So there is this platform, Spreely, that is competitive to Facebook. And there is freedom of speech. This is very important, that we can express our thoughts and nobody will chase us or cancel our accounts. Then there is competitor to Twitter and it's called Parler. So if you would be interested in that, I give you this information. Maybe you can check it out on the internet. Another competitor of Twitter is Gab. It's another social media application, and we read on their page, Gab is the home of free speech online and a place where users shape their own experience. You will discover many different ideas, people and topics on Gab. Follow the people you find interesting and block or mute people you don't want to associate with. Speak freely. Associate freely. Let's get started. So actually this is the kind of platform that you can express your own free opinion and the system will not block you as Twitter does, that is blocking or deleting people's accounts or fact-checking their opinions. Gab has also many other applications and they also have software. We read on the internet, Gab. We build freedom of speech software. We champion free speech, individual liberty, and the free flow of information online. All are welcome. It is very interesting and I already signed up there and I'm going to try also because it is being recommended by people that I trust. One of the people is Ron at CodeMonkeyZ on Twitter, and he actually recommends this application, Gab. It looks like it is the centralized encrypted platform, which is good in this case. Whether it is based on cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin, I have no idea, but it is based on free speech software. It is important to transfer to the other decentralized platforms as certain strange things are probably going to be happening the next days, weeks and months. It may even look pretty unpleasant, but there is a plan. It is all anticipated. The moves of deep state are being expected and anticipated. So the patriots who support Donald Trump, they know about the plan. Red 1, Red 2, Red 3. I will explain this later in my next video. And they follow the instructions of Trump and they will be communicating with Trump through different alternative platforms and also on emergency network, including probably military networks for digital soldiers. By the way, if you are interested to know how the internet was born and what was the beginning of networks, there is a video on Comodeo channel titled "And the Internet Was Born." Check it out, it's very interesting. Right after the events in Washington, D.C. in the USA on 6th of January, Twitter blocked important tweets of Donald J. Trump, of the president, and actually blocked temporarily his account. Let's see what will happen further. I have saved, though, the 2 latest tweets of the president. You can find them in my previous video titled Part of History. So there are certain people that we should follow on the alternative platforms to make sure that we will have access to the real information. You can always follow me because I will be reporting on that. Besides, you can also follow Ron at CodeMonkey on Gab. You can also find me on Gab. I'll leave you my username in the description under this video. Okay, I wanted to let you know about Google's competitor. One of the Google's competitor is DuckDuckGo, very interesting search engine. And we read on their page, we are setting the new standard of trust online, empowering people to take control of their information. You deserve privacy. Companies are making money off of your private information online without your consent. At DuckDuckGo, we don't think the internet should feel so creepy, and getting the privacy you deserve online should be as simple as closing the blinds. Too many people believe that you simply can't expect privacy on the internet. We disagree and have made it our mission to set a new standard of trust online. It's time to take back your privacy. It is really very interesting search engine, and I strongly recommend this one because it's not as flary as Google, but actually it's extremely powerful. It protects your privacy for you. This search engine has been also recommended by Seth Holhouse from the channel called Men in America. He produced recently 2 videos that are like an eye-opener that explain the current situation around the world and in the USA. Another search engine that is protecting privacy is BrightOn, which is independent, uncensored, private search. If you go on brighteon.com, you can see that it's a simple search engine. It is not so colorful, let's say, impressive like Google, but at least it's a search engine that is independent and it's uncensored. So in case something happens to Google, of course we have also Yahoo and Bing and a few other that are censored anyways, being the assets of the globalists. But BrightOn is uncensored and independent. I don't really recommend because I still don't know them, but I know that it is an option. So we have this option just in case. BrightOn search engine is recommended by Joshua Phillips from the Crossroads YouTube channel and NTD YouTube channel. Joshua is working closely with Roman from the Epoch Times. The Epoch Times is an online newspaper that provides us with the true, real information that we can trust. Another interesting newspaper is Politico. Then also, regarding YouTube, yesterday, on 6th of January, right after the events in Washington, D.C. in the USA, YouTube blocked temporarily the option of live streaming on their platform. So let's see what happens next. And let's keep it in mind. I am recently doing some research about BTube, DTube, BitChute, and others. Some of them are encrypted and or cryptocurrency based, Rumble and so on. So I will do another video about it because I still cannot give any recommendation. Maybe I have already some of my preference, but I still need to check it better to be able to give you some advice about it. At the moment, my favorite is Rumble, and I'm building my comodeo channel on this platform. And I still need to check out other platforms to be able to compare them. Rumble is my favorite one and is growing now very fast, every day as we speak. The good news in all this is that still we have some choice, and it would be very good that there would be many other platforms competitive to Google, to YouTube. There should be more, they should grow and they should become bigger and well known. Many of them. We should have competition on the internet because having monopoly globalist platforms, it is not healthy, it is not good because it's very easy to manipulate, spy, censor and control, to cut people off their data. This is unhealthy, this is dangerous. So I hope other platforms will grow, other private servers will appear like mushrooms after the rain. So I hope something will happen. And also, coming again back to the blackout, there are forecasts can happen total blackout, maybe longer than 45 minutes, perhaps January, February, or this winter or this year. We don't know, but there are some kind of provisions, forecasts about it. And maybe the only thing that we will have access to will be the mainstream media information that are really feeding us with propaganda. So I just wanted to let you know that if it happens, let's not panic, but let's not trust what we will be fed with, because it could be done on purpose. It could be that they will invent that there was some alien attack, some Russian something, or power cut, or Trump's fault, or something else, or our fault. We don't know what they can come up with. They are very creative, actually, the invisibles. The important thing is not to freak out. It can be difficult for us, being completely cut off from the internet, from our families, friends, from all the sources of information that we use and follow. but we must resist, okay? And of course, I am also following the propaganda, listening to them, because I want to be able to compare, because otherwise I would be biased on the other side. So I also listen to those channels that I trust and I follow, but I also listen to the propaganda just to be able to compare. We may be completely cut off our normal, true, let's say, news, and the only thing that will remain to us will be the propaganda news. So we must be prepared for that and follow our own intuition. We cannot trust everything they tell us in TV. We have to follow common sense and our logic, because the truth is logic. The truth is mathematics. And we have also intuition. So we should follow our intuition and resist till the situation will be resolved. Okay? So let's stay strong. Let's stay in good faith and try the other platforms that I mentioned to you. Try, experiment, and let's see how it works, if it's good search engine, and maybe it could be a good idea to advertise. If somebody has some company, some services that you advertise on Google, perhaps it could be a good idea to try and see how it works. Because if Google is manipulating, perhaps it could also manipulate. You put a lot of money in advertising and you never have any sales. So let's try other platforms and see about visibility and if it gives something in return for my effort. I'm very curious. I think it's time that we all start using or moving to other platforms to give others chance to grow and keep the healthy mix system online on the internet. I salute you. Have a good day, night, depends where you are, on which continent. And let's stay in touch. We humans, all of us, we the people of the world, let's stay together and let's be strong. Big kiss. Bye bye. Ciao.